This is what a fig looks like if you make it out of paper mache for less than a fiver. Now, the idea for this talk came from a conversation I had with a friend of mine who was vegetarian and refused to eat a fig roll on the basis that figs can contain wasps. And I thought that this was a bit mad, but being a scientist, I said I'd look into it before I passed judgment, and I'm glad I did, because it turns out figs are actually incredibly interesting. For one thing, this is not technically a fruit. This is a structure called a syconium, which is a pod that totally encloses both the flowers and the fruit of a fig. And it's an important distinction to make. Because of the syconium, the flowers of a fig are not open to pollinators like bees and like the wind or whatever the normal one would be. Instead, figs have an obligate mutualism with a family of wasps. Now, mutualism in biology is exactly what it sounds like. It's when two different species have a mutually beneficial relationship. But if you've ever looked inside of a fig, you won't have seen a wasp. You'll have seen all of these pink little strands in a jelly, and the jelly is the fruit, and the strands are the female flowers, because figs are one of the few trees that are actually both male and female on separate plants. And in order to find a wasp, you have to look inside of a male fig. And you can probably tell I had great fun making this over the weekend. But the wasps live their entire lives inside of the male fig, except for the female, who once she's mature, will fly away to try and find another fig to live in and to have her babies. Just stick that there. Now, here's where things get a little bit tricky for her, because she's just lived her entire life inside of a male flower and is covered in pollen. So the fig wants her to go inside of a female one and pollinate it. And from the outside, the poor wasp can't tell the difference. So she has to roll the dice. And if she's lucky, she'll get a male fig and she'll be able to lay her eggs inside it and life will continue for her. But if she's unlucky, she'll get the female fig. And she'll spend the rest of her life crawling around inside it, trying to lay her eggs and pollinating the flowers. And that's going to activate the fig to develop its fruit and release an enzyme called phycin, which digests the wasp. So you'll never find a wasp inside of a fig, because figs eat wasps. And that's a crazy life cycle. But it's one that's remarkably successful for both the figs and the wasps, because there's over 750 species of fig. And the vast majority of them have at least one wasp that only pollinates it. And evolutionary biologists have been able to trace back the family trees of both figs and wasps back 60 million years. And they think that this mutualism arose only once in all of history as a random encounter. And I think it's very interesting to think about what those ancient figs and the fig wasps might have looked like. But I'm pretty sure that they weren't made out of pipe cleaners. Thank you very much.
Well done, Pat.